1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Welcome back, Draft Kings and Queens, to the Racial Draft Podcast. I am your host, Michael Ford, joined not again by Kia Lisi, who is out there, I think, taking over different timelines. I'm not sure. Cannot confirm nor deny that Kia the Conqueror is a canon or not. But I have been joined by the illustrious main delegate from the Latinx delegation, defending racial draft champion, Carlos. Carlos, you after beating the rest of the field in the racial draft and then beating COVID, how do you feel?
I'm on top of the world. All things are possible. Yeah, and we're gonna get into it, but I am defending this championship.
Yeah, you are.
We are not rebuilding.
Exactly. You're trying to build dynasties here. But if this is your first show, I apologize. But what we do every week is change the complexion of the comic book universe, one draft pick at a time, and that is by race bending your favorite comic book characters, favorite superheroes, superheroines, supervillains, anyone in the comic book world. We flip them, we bounce them, we remix them racially and ethnically. And this was quite the week in the racial draft. The bankrolls are getting depleted, which means you got to be savvy. You got to be savvy with your bidding, because in season 3, it's letting us get down to bidding wars. We don't use the auction word, because of certain sensibilities. But yeah. Every delegation has a bankroll, and every delegation is trying to make acquisitions to their franchise, free agency, if you will. And there were some big free agents that were snapped up, and maybe some smaller free agents. But let's dive right into it. Let's dive into the racial draft business. Because the biggest acquisition of the week by far, for the second time, the Latinx delegation acquired T'Challa. That sound you hear is the sound of Randy not being here to answer for letting down the Black community. But we do have Carlos here to explain himself. First, what was your thought process in making the acquisition of T'Challa?
T'Challa he scores points, first of all. And there's that Black Panther book that got pushed back 3 months is now debuting in our scoring period. Should get 2, maybe 3 issues out of this. The John Ridley book. Right. And so I figure T'Challa shows up anyway, but also like a new book is probably gonna be hella points coming. So that was my thought process in terms of acquiring the character. And then also I like this season we've had a chance to kind of shine a light on a lot of Afro-Latino actors, and the fact that there is a darker complexion for Latin America. We do have Black people, and so it's not like I have to do not Enrique Iglesias, Ricky Martin as T'Challa.
Right.
We have a whole plethora of Afro-Latino actors, and Ilan Noel is like, he looks like T'Challa, like that dude.
Yeah, that is true. We've talked about this before, maybe a little bit offline, but traditionally, a lot of Afro-Latino actors specifically have been often just cast to play regular run-of-the-mill black dudes, and
Yeah.
because of the lack of nuance when it comes to those kinds of roles. If you're darker than the paper bag, then you're viewed as black, and if you want to get hired, you're just going to play black dudes. And this would be a situation where this actor could kind of fill out the ethnicity. And now I don't know a lot about Ilan Noel's background, so could you fill me in a little bit?
He's Panamanian.
He is Panamanian. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um,
I always, the joke, I guess, in air
Mhm.
quotes, is that there's always been a sort of animosity between, like, there's there's colorism in Latin
Mhm.
America, and there is racism between, like, specifically like old country Latin American families and black people.
Mhm.
It's a thing. Any black person who's walked into a bodega knows, like, you're there is still like the hurry up and buy kind of mentality. But I always tell people, it's like, what we're arguing over, like all the debates and all the animosity, is really just a matter of, like, which stop your ancestors got off the boat. Like,
Right.
like the difference between Jamaica and Puerto Rico is just like which stop you got off, which stop they took you off the boat. So, like, I have ancestors in my family. When you see the family tree, it's like definitely not the same. Definitely servants' quarters going on with this great uncle or my great grandfather. So, like, there is a history, a black history in Latin America that I don't think Americans know enough about.
Right. Now, table that for a second, because I'm going to dive into the wiki
Go for it.
for Black Panther. I mean, you guys should have all seen the movie. So
I mean, I know nothing about this character. I drafted him.
yes, he's a very obscure character that maybe there wasn't a $1.7 billion movie about.
We are changing his name to Chichuro. I just want you to.
T'Challa is the Black Panther, king of Wakanda, one of the most technologically advanced nations on Earth. He's among the top intellects and martial arts of the world, a veteran Avenger, and a member of the Illuminati. Using his powers and abilities, he has pledged his fortune, powers, and life to the service of all mankind. So I have to come right out and say, based on our racial draft rules, you cannot racially draft the whole of Wakanda. That is not a thing. That is not a thing.
No, of course not.
So you have to figure out how to square that circle, figure out how to make T'Challa Afro-Latino, but still be of Wakanda. Have you thought through how to make that happen?
I have.
Okay, I'd like to hear it. I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear your thoughts.
And also because, like, I did, even if I had wanted to say Wakanda's in Latin America now, Randy made Doom half Wakandan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wakandan expat, yeah.
Right, I had to respect what Randy had already put there as per the rules of this project. So my idea is T'Challa was born in Panama in the Wakandan embassy.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, grew up in.
So I got to ask though, does that mean that his father established diplomatic relationships in South America before he established diplomatic relationships in North America?
Well, I mean, Wakanda, at least in the movies, Wakanda does speak in front of the UN, right?
That's true.
They do have an international footprint, although they let everyone believe that they are this poor third world country.
That is a good point.
So there is room for a Wakandan embassy in other countries. I mean,
that's fair. Now, see, what I thought you were going to say, and let me know if this jibes with you. What I thought you were going to say is that T'Chaka found himself a Panamanian woman while he was on his diplomatic trip, and took her as his wife, and they had the child, and he took and because of that factor, when he, instead of studying instead of studying in the different schools in the states that he studied in some schools in South America. So even though he was Wakandan, he still went to some of the Panamanian universities so that he got that exposure to his culture that way.
So I thought about making him half
Wakandan, half Panamanian.
half Wakandan, half Panamanian, but I wasn't sure if that would break the character because of, from what I know from Wakanda, from the movie, he wouldn't be allowed in.
No, but that's the thing. If his father brought her back and said, "This is my queen," it would obviously it's tricky because like you'd have to maybe square that circle with the drafting of Ramonda in the supplemental draft if it comes to that. But the idea would be that we know that there's a somewhat of an outsider element, even though he's the king's son. So that could be the source of that. We know he studied abroad. We know that he wasn't spent his entire life in Wakanda. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there. That and if he brings some of those cultural elements back with him, then he still has a reason to a tie to those communities. He speaks a little Spanish, like throws people off.
Oh, you must be Dominican.
Yeah. Dominican Panther. But I think there's a little bit of, I think there is wiggle room. Black people would still claim him because this is what we do.
Yep.
And if he knows how to cook with adobo,
Black people still claim him. My mom will still claim he's Puerto Rican because that's just what she does. She's still convinced LeBron James is Puerto Rican. She goes, LeBron. It's like, no, mom, that's just not his name.
And then when he goes full out, like, let's make sure that we get our Wakandan embassies, he spends a lot of time in the different South American embassies, building relationships with the characters out there. So I'm here for it. I mean, I would be less here for it if you tried to take all of Wakanda.
Right.
But right. All right, I will begrudgingly, on behalf of the Black community, deal with what did you say, Chichuro?
Chichuro. We had a
Kate.
Tequila. Yeah, we had some fun with that. Especially as I was trolling Randy, because I mean, basically the new so the way our bidding has gone, I feel, is at first it was set by Batman. So everything was based on, if Batman is $11.99, then this character is X. But now it's like Randy's got $104 left. So you're going to see a whole plethora of characters go for 105, maybe between 105 and 115, because that's where Randy dropped out, and then that was it for the bidding.
Yeah, that is the Randy line. The Randy line. You just got to get past the Randy line, and yes, for $105, T'Challa was acquired, and good price. Now the people, 75% approval rating,
okay.
All 75% strongly approve, and that 25% somewhat disapprove. Which again,
right.
Listen, we got blindsided as Black people. I can understand somewhat disapproving of what happened there.
I mean, I think because I didn't go Lin-Manuel with it, and like, I was like, no, he can still be a fully Black man. Like,
you mean you didn't go in the Heights with it?
Exactly. But I hope that it still seems like a respectful pick, even though I definitely was like, Wakanda para siempre.
Now, so here's the thing. Here's what I gotta give you props for. So you came out with the opening of a Kid Cudi, which Kid Cudi, it's cool. But no, it wasn't Kid Cudi. It was
Miguel.
It was Miguel. Sorry, it's Miguel. Sorry, I apologize to Miguel.
Kid Cudi was last year.
Right. But I think when you submitted the new visual reference of Noel, like, I think that made people, because listen, you show that picture now, and this again, we transition immediately to the fan art. The fan art really note to other people who want to win people over for the demographics. If you submit the fan art right after you win the bid, you'll get more positive reactions. Well, unless we'll talk about that later. But I gotta shout you out. You came through with the fan art. I may make that the art for the show, or I may but Wakanda Powder Siempre, like lot of love. A lot of people, I know the whole T'Challa recasting thing is kind of controversial, but I think that if Elon was announced, a lot of people would have no problem with it. So I'm here for it. For it. However, you know what I'm not here for? The next pick. Because you motherfuckers. and by motherfuckers, I mean every other delegation in the racial draft, letting the Latinx delegation acquire for $2 Dr. Stephen Strange.
Yeah, boy.
Dr. Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yep.
I'm just going to go ahead and dive into the wiki. Dr. Stephen Strange was once a gifted but egotistical surgeon who sought out the Ancient One to heal his hands after they were wounded in a car accident. Instead, the Ancient One trained him to become a master of the mystic arts and the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. $2 for the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, granted, I may as well give the caveat that in September, Marvel is going to kill him. See the air quotes? Listen, listeners, you might not hear the air quotes, but know they're happening. He's going to die in September. Now, I mean, he's also got a movie that's coming out next year. I feel like he's not dying for long. I also feel like this is a character who engages with the astral plane all the time. So yeah, Doctor Strange. You did come through with the fan casting of Diego Luna. You also came with the fan art of Diego Luna and Mexican Doctor Strange. Go ahead and lay it on us. Tell us what you envisioned for Mexican Doctor Strange.
Well, first of all, I did not expect to win Doctor Strange for $2. It's just that Gordy submitted the white delegation, started the bidding at 1. I was like, well, I'll go to 2, expecting Fully to wake up, and he's like at 80 or something. But I woke up and I had won him, so yay to me.
Yeah.
The death of Doctor Strange. There is at least one issue that will be occurring during our scoring period, and
there you go.
I mean, like, I hope he's in it, and I hope he does some magic stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely into magic.
Lots of it.
Magic stuff.
And he's also going to be in there are Marvel movies coming out that he may appear in our scoring period.
Yes. I mean, movies that may or may not have trailers.
Right. Movies that may or may not involve multiverses, according to rumors.
Yeah.
But also things so I fully expect the $2 will have been worth it. And then Diego Luna looks like Doctor Strange to me. He just kind of does. And and honestly, I wouldn't have seen it until I had seen Narcos Mexico, where he just played badass. Like, he plays a total, like, he's a badass. He runs things. And so it's the first time I had ever seen Diego Luna in a position where he was like in power in any project. And so after that, it's like, we got to get this guy in comic book movies. And I think he would be a good Doctor Strange, because he's not a physically imposing person, but when you're a sorcerer, you don't need to be. So I think it works. I think it works well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the fan art, once again, We'll go ahead and share it in the show notes, so you guys will check it out on our various social media platforms. It's a good look, and look, I feel like a lot of people. I know that Benedict Cumberbatch has been a good Doctor Strange so far, but there are a lot of people who would have been particularly impressed by Mexican Doctor Strange. And
Oh, yeah.
now, would you make any changes to his origin? Really?
I mean, maybe I would have him studying and being from Mexico City,
Okay,
but
as opposed to America.
yeah, but eventually still coming to America.
Hmm.
But yeah, that might be really the extent of changes to his origin. Obviously, there'd be cultural changes just in general because Mexicans are different than white people. But there'd be differences in the way, his expressions and whatnot, especially if he's from Mexico. But no, I think for the most part it'd be pretty much consistent.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to really change that much. That's one of the things that I love that we can do with the racial draft, when we have a character and we race bend the character, and it really we don't have to deviate that much from the classical origin. This is one of the reasons that we came up with the racial draft in the first place, that it's often just that easy to just make that slight tweak and not change too much about the character overall.
I mean, Day of the Dead at his house is going to be lit. That's the day. That's the Coco you want to watch, like Mexican Doctor Strange's house.
Yeah, and it's not like there aren't arrogant ass Mexican dudes,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
which brings us. Well, that's not a good transition at all. So I'm just gonna dive right in to the next character who came up for the bidding. Shout out to the Jewish delegation for acquiring this character at a $25 level. Yet again, what's everybody doing? What is everybody doing? Jen Walters, She-Hulk, a lawyer. This, you know what this is? This is another example of female characters being vastly underpaid for doing the man's job. I bet you when Male Hulk comes up, he's going to go for more than $25.
Or Matt Murdock, male lawyer.
Right, exactly. The glass ceiling is really very, very upsetting.
That's it.
But Jen Walters, the She-Hulk, $25.
Yeah.
And we have been joined by, just in time to evade our conversation about Black Panther, we've been joined by Randy. Happy birthday, Randy. Let the people, hopefully they'll shout you out when they listen to the podcast. We went through both the T'Challa acquisition and the Doctor Strange acquisition by the Latinx delegation.
Well, if you really wanted to wish me a happy birthday, you could have completely let me avoid the conversation about T'Challa.
But
yeah, you don't have to speak on it at all. We know, Randy. We know.
Wakanda para siempre, as they say. But Randy, I do want to ask, did you actually, I'll take it a step further. Did you decide that you did not want to bid on Jennifer Walters because the Jewish delegation went ahead and cast a Black Jewish woman as their She-Hulk? Did you decide that you were going to get sort of sideways representation that way?
Well, I mean, I was trying, like, I saw, if I recall.
Uh-oh, we lost you for a second. Say it again, Randy.
Sorry about that. My connection dropped. But if I recall correctly, the timeline, it was like, I think maybe some other bidding underway, and I was really trying to like weigh my options for who would I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was like I mean, Doctor Strange went like under the radar, and it definitely was not my intention to be like, hey, yeah, F Doctor Strange. Like, no, he would have been a good person to get. So,
Yeah.
He was
So
a good
mm,
$2.
yeah. So when you say that you were involved in this bidding, you clearly acquired one of the characters that you were bidding on. Yes.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, this is what the third week, and I have 3 characters, so that's the equivalent of 1 win per week.
Oh, okay. So when the other delegations have like 5 characters, they've just been.
I've got half my team. I got 6.
Trust me, if I could find a smarter way to do it, then I would absolutely do that. But a lot of the bidding that I had got myself involved in was like they ended up being driven up
Past right, past the Randy line. We have coined $104 as the Randy line, which apparently is all you have to reach most nowadays if you want to win the bid.
That's it.
my phone is acting a fool. But I will say that I tried to do best as I could. I tried to be strategic about it.
I feel you. Well, I did not read the wiki for Jen Walters, and I'll go ahead and do that right now. Lawyer Jennifer Walters was transformed into a gamma-powered superhero thanks to her cousin Bruce Banner, and backs up her sensational strength with her savage wit and confidence. After getting a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce Banner, Jennifer Walters gained all the powers of the Hulk and all the problems. But while she gained massive strength, she never lost her passion for justice. So yeah, I mean, she's got up until recently, she's had all of the benefits of being a Hulk with none of the weaknesses, none of the downsides in intelligence. And if we got to be honest, she kind of got hotter. You know, she turned into a Hulk and became hot. And we know that they're working on a Disney Plus series with Tatiana Maslany playing the character.
Yep.
Tatiana Maslany, noted not Jewish woman. So the Jewish delegation, they enlisted as their visual reference / fan casting Tracy Ellis Ross, which I think she played a lawyer on Girlfriends, right? Is that right, Randy? Did you watch Girlfriends?
I did not fully, but I believe she was. I mean, I've seen a couple of episodes. I believe she is. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, she's got that part squared away. She's got the lawyer part squared away, and like I'm a big fan of. We at the Racial Draft Podcast are big fans of Tracy Ellis Ross. So if they had gone that direction with the casting, I'd be here for it. If they go that direction with Tracy Ellis Ross in the comics, I'd be here for it. With her looking like Tracy Ellis Ross, rather. Let's find out. Oh, we lost Randy for a second. Hopefully he comes back. I think we forgot to give what the people decided for Doctor Strange. So I'm going to go ahead and give you that. Oh, the bidding is still ongoing. So we've got 3 days left in the polls, not the bidding, in the polls for approval rating. So go ahead and voice your approval one way or the other. I think that means that there's probably that the other polls are still ongoing for the approval rating for for She-Hulk. So go ahead and make your voice known, and we'll let you all know what the approval rating is next week. I am going to somewhat approve.
Fair enough. Is Defenders still going on in October, I wonder?
The Defenders book?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's like that. It's like Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange. I can't even think of what.
Hulk and Namor.
Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, there might be more characters in there, but those are the classic Defenders. But Let us keep going. Thor Odinson.
Never heard.
Another win for the Latinx delegation. And this time, you finally got your man. You finally got your Edgar Ramirez.
Let's go.
Let's
Finally.
go. How does it feel? How did it feel? 130 bucks.
I think it's a fair price for Thor, who I
Yeah,
believe
I think it's like a top 5 Marvel character in terms of FCL points. I mean, he's got his own book. He shows up in other people's books.
Exactly.
You know, he's got Love and Thunder coming. Obviously, he did not show up really, or did he show up? I don't know if we counted that, if we would have counted that in the Loki series, but you know,
interesting. Yeah,
probably we would have counted that.
That first scene from Avengers, you have to count like all those characters. Yeah, it feels good. There were at the time there were 3 races going on. It was Thor, T'Challa, and was it maybe Carol Danvers? I can't remember now.
I think so. I think it was Carol Danvers. I think those were all happening at the same time.
Yeah, and I was just like, let me win one of these. And I'm happy to win 2. I'm happy that T'Challa and Thor are coming.
Yeah, those are some solid Avengers. I'm gonna go ahead and read from the wiki. Thor Odinson is the All-Father of Asgard / God of Thunder, offspring of All-Father Odin and the Elder. Well, that's been retconned. The Elder Earth Goddess Gaia. I think now his mother is the Phoenix, combining the powers of both realms, make him an Elder God hybrid and being of limitless potential. Armed with his enchanted Uru hammer Mjolnir, which helps him to channel his godly energies. Its mightiest and most beloved warrior in all of Asgard, a staunch ally for good, and one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse / omniverse. Thor is also a founding member of the Avengers. So we got to ask, how does that square, being a Norse god with his new Latinx background?
I haven't gotten to like actually putting something down, but I really liked what Tamati did last season, where he kept Thor a Norse god, but also a champion of Polynesian people, at least in one battle. Like I thought that was very cool, and I kind of want to keep that tradition going, where Thor is a Norse god. Like you'd be taking a deity away from a group of people, and I like the idea of like what Thor's like visits around the world.
So I mean, you know, obviously there's this whole like creation myth, I'd like to call it, you know, around Europeans traveling to the quote unquote New World, which has been disproven in a lot of ways. There were probably Norwegians that came to the Americas before Christopher Columbus.
That's the reason we call them the Minnesota Vikings. That's about as far as they got inland.
So, you know, maybe there was a group of people who worship Thor who went as far south as South America, and maybe Thor came to visit them, and maybe he continued to come to visit them. You know,
I like the idea of Thor vacationing in Venezuela.
There's a small pocket of Norwegians in South America who, Thor develops an affinity over thousands of years.
Yeah, I will say, of the 3 characters I won this week. But coming up with the artwork in order to get the points, this is the one that I have not had as much time to think about. So I won T'Challa early in the week, and then Doctor Strange basically stayed the same. But Thor Odinson, turning him into a Latino version. Like I kind of like the idea of Vikings, Norwegian folk coming to South America pre conquistador, and the battles, because I loved that about Tom and
Oh yeah, imagine if he fights alongside the native people against the conquistadors.
Hey, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Yet somehow he loses.
No. I mean, he just happened. Thor. He gets a little drunk and he misses a big battle and he's like, oh shit, damn. Oh well, just got to jump on the Wainbro Bridge, head on back to Asgard.
Exactly.
Hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
For him, he was gone for like a week on a bender, and he comes back. It's been like 100 years,
Exactly.
and they've been fully colonized. He's like, shit.
It's been half a millennia. Where were you?
I just had a party to go to. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I mean, you can make it work. I think there's room to make it work. Yeah. And then maybe you can, I mean, now we're getting fully into fanfic territory. There's some like South American homages to Thor. With the also gods of thunder, lesser gods of thunder based on him. That the people kind of picked up. Yeah, I think there's a little wiggle room for it.
There is.
And of course it's Edgar Ramirez. So,
I mean, has this season not shown us that Edgar Ramirez is a treasure? He can be Bruce. I have shown pictures for every visual reference. It's like, and here's what he would look like as Bruce Wayne, and here's what he would look like as Clark Kent, and here's what he would look like as Dr. Doom, and here's what he would look like as Wolverine.
Yeah. You know what this means? What it means is that you should have drafted Kang, and you should have made Edgar Ramirez Kang, because he could be all the variants of
exactly. Yeah,
Edgar Ramirez.
Exactly.
But hopefully this doesn't stop. Hopefully just because you found this one visual reference of Edgar Ramirez as Thor, hopefully for your other acquisitions, there's not more room for Edgar Ramirez.
You want me to keep pushing Edgar Ramirez? I should have done.
Yeah, why not? I mean, keep looking, keep finding other uses for Edgar Ramirez in the
absolutely
universe. Next up, Carol Danvers, who was won by the Jewish delegation. Big week for the Jewish delegation, gotta say.
Yep.
They got Jen Walters on the cheap.
Yep.
And they got, they paid a little bit up for Carol Danvers, but Carol Danvers is worth paying for. I'm gonna dive into the wiki for her. After encountering the Kree hero Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers was accidentally subjected to otherworldly radiation that transformed her into a superhuman warrior. Oh, this is an old origin.
Yeah.
Because now her origin is that she's half Kree. But so her powers come from her mother, who I believe is named her sister is named Marielle. I think her mother is named
Schmeryl.
Yeah, it's let me look this up. It's gonna bother me. I think it's like Laurel. Actually, I think it's but yeah, so the point is she's had some stuff happen to her over the course of her comic book reality, but the fact is she's now a half Kree warrior, and she has a half sister who is part of the Kree Imperium, who is also one of the accusers.
Ooh.
Yeah, Kelly Thompson has been doing cool stuff in the Captain Marvel book, but strong acquisition for the Jewish delegation. Again, the polls are still open. If you'd like to voice your approval or disapproval, hopefully you're not going to disapprove just because you're anti-Semitic.
I'm really hoping that we get more fleshing out of Carol Danvers in the MCU. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Please, more.
Also, one of the things that's cool about Carol Danvers is her relationships to other female characters. Not just in the shipping case, but in the friendships. She's got that long-standing friendship with Jessica Drew. She also has a friendship with Jessica Jones. She's been friends with Monica Rambeau. I think the new friendship that she's formed over the last little bit has been with the character Hazmat, whose name is escaping me right now. She's often a fulcrum. She's one of the founding members of A-Force. I think I would like to see that aspect of her be explored in live action. The fact that she can have all these strong friendships with female characters. Of course, she has the mentorship with Kamala Khan, but
I think that first movie had such a hard job because you're giving your main character amnesia.
Yeah.
And so for so much of it, she's kind of stilted. And like Brie Larson, I love Brie Larson. She's great all the time. And that movie was just very difficult. And I don't think you got, I think the moment in Endgame where he's like, where Peter Parker's like, I'm Peter Parker. Hi, Peter Parker. I think that's more Brie Larson than you get in all of the Captain Marvel movie, because she's got to play this
stoic Kree warrior. Yeah.
Exactly. And I hope that they really get to use Brie Larson.
I'd like to see her show up in more movies than just her own movie. I think that if you got to see her, how she interplays with some of the other characters in these other movies, we'd get a little bit more of how she, where she fits.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those, when we're looking back at the 50-year history of the MCU, it's going to be one of those the Infinity War, Captain Marvel, Endgame kind of handoff, where we had to create Captain Marvel and explain her before Endgame, which was coming out with the 2 months later or something like that. It's very clunky and raised more questions than it answered for Endgame. It's wait, why wouldn't you stay? And why wouldn't you come right back as soon as you know what's going on? Stuff like that. I feel like that whole handoff was very clunky and clumsy, and I really am looking forward to them clearing it up, because they'll clean that up.
Yeah, for sure. And that brings us to the final acquisition, the we'll just call it the Milton Berle of it all, where Tamati from the Polynesian delegation decided, I'm just gonna unroll some of my bankroll, just enough to win. $100 for Raven, who you might know from the Teen Titans, and $100.
That'll do it.
opening bid, closing bid.
Exactly.
For Raven. And give me a second and I will read the Raven wiki. Raven battles the forces of evil alongside her adopted family, the Teen Titans, while trying to control her baser, antagonistic instincts she inherited from her demonic father, Trigon. Now, I don't know too much about Raven in the comics. I do know her from the Teen Titans cartoons.
I know her from Teen Titans Go, which is the only Teen Titans proper.
But she's got all this power within her. She's trying to hold back her demonic urges, but she's super powerful magician. I'm still hopefully Tamati has had Raven in previous seasons, so I'm sure he's got something cooked up for her.
He did say backstory coming, which was...
Yes, he did say backstory coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, once we knew that Raven was who the Polynesian delegation wanted, it was an easy fix. You can have her.
Yep.
But I did not look at the FCL, the scoring list Let's see if I can pull this up very quickly. If I can't, then we'll have to revisit it at another time. But
I've got it. It's from that one tweet that they sent us, right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Raven is 28th on that list.
Okay. Is
For
that
DC.
just for DC?
Yeah.
Okay. How many points is that?
That number was 43. 43
Okay,
total points.
so that ratio is not great. Not a great ratio, but look, she's in the Teen Titans book, the Teen Titans Academy book. You know, I think the Titans show is coming back, and she plays a prominent role in that. I don't know if that's going to run concurrently with our season or not, but she's a very popular fan favorite character. I could see there being some cosplay, especially. I saw a few people commenting and saying that they would love Polynesian Raven. So, you know, if you're an artist, you're a Polynesian artist and you want to depict a Polynesian Raven, if you're a Polynesian cosplayer and you want to depict Polynesian Raven, go ahead and tag us and earn your bonus points.
Looks like Titan season 3 will be August 12th. So
not in our wheelhouse. But no. You know, now's as good a time as any to talk about the fan art. You came through with, I believe, three fan art pieces.
All 3 of my characters: T'Challa, Thor, and Doctor Strange. Yeah,
and you know, I mean, as always, high standards on the fan art. So I gotta award you 30 additional points for the fan art. 30 additional dollars, rather.
Thank you. Ever wise, Michael.
So yes, 30 additional points. So you have now earned 60 bucks of bonus points. But to be fair, we also got some other fan art from the Jewish delegation. Shout out to Adam from the Jewish delegation for dabbling. I believe the program that he was using was like Hero something or other. Give me a second. I will find it. So
I was wondering how did you do this? Like, what program was this?
Yeah, it was a rendering program called sorry guys, Hero Forge is the and it was like I said, it's in the Robot Chicken / MODOK realm.
It does. It looks like action figures. It's very cool.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It looks like toys. It's like you're playing with your toys. He did one for Carol. He did a few for Carol Danvers, and he played around a little bit with She-Hulk, and I am going to award him 15 points for his fan art. So I may as well go ahead and give people the current status of I may as well give people the current status of the bankrolls right now. The Latinx delegation has $468 remaining. The multiracial delegation has $396 remaining. The East Southeast Asian has $100 remaining. The white delegation has $1 remaining. The black delegation has $104 remaining. The Polynesian delegation has $800 remaining. The Jewish delegation has $609 remaining. The South Asian delegation has $1,200 remaining. And the Native American delegation has $780 remaining. Now's as good a time as any to talk about whether you have another character that you'd like to submit for nomination.
Well, actually, I've just seen, first of all, Randy the Birthday Boy He apologizes that he couldn't drop in or that he couldn't stay in, but his phone has been acting up. And he has a character that he would like.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen this. Have you?
I have seen this,
Okay,
but
okay.
I was giving you the opportunity for you before
He's
I.
the birthday boy. You go first. It's fine.
Okay, I will make sure I pull it up then. Yes. Tim Drake. My favorite Robin.
Okay,
Um,
I see that.
and the opening bid, there was a fan cast of Kylan Rambo, which this is not a visual medium, so you're gonna have to Google that yourself. But the opening bid of $1.30. So just high enough so that the white delegation cannot bid.
I was like, why didn't he go 30 cents? Oh, I get it. Because
now, would you like to counterbid on Tim Drake?
you know what? Because it's Randy's birthday, no. I'm gonna hope that he wins Tim Drake for $1.30 for his birthday.
Nice. But yeah, so Tim Drake for $1.30. We will see how that plays out. But Carlos, who do you have in mind?
It's funny that Tim Drake was brought up because I would like to nominate another Robin, Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne. So what do you have in mind for Damian Wayne?
You mean as a kid? A kid actor?
No. I more meant as far as like Latino Damian Wayne, beyond just the visual reference / fan cast.
Excuse me. COVID's not done with me yet. What do I have in mind? I have in mind that Bruce Wayne, who is now established to be white in this season of the draft, went to spring break, Latin America. About 12 years and 9 months later, here comes little Damianito.
So no League of Shadows. I mean, League of Assassins. No Talia al Ghul.
I mean, that's the issue. Is that as soon as I make Damian Wayne Latino, Bruce Wayne is white. Talia is now at least half Latino. So I will go with, as a visual reference. But this kid's too old now. Kids grow up so fast.
Well, remember, I can, you just have to find a young picture of this actor.
All right. It's the kid from, it's the boy from One Day at a Time, the Netflix remake of One Day at a Time.
I am aware of the show, but
his name is Marcel Ruiz.
Marcel Ruiz. Season 1 of One Day at a Time.
Yeah, because that boy got big quick.
Yeah. That's why the fan casts are hard when you're dealing with the child. Okay, I can see it. I can definitely see. He's got the hair for it. He's got the little sneer for it.
Yeah, he's got the little punk ass face for it sometimes.
Yeah. He's got he's got a little smirk. He's got a little smirk about him.
Yeah.
Marcel Ruiz
For Damian Wayne. And let's start that bidding for Randy's 30th birthday, $30.
$30 opening bid. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to go ahead and share this image, and you let me know if this is a good you let me know if this is a good visual reference.
All right. Let me see.
Check your chat.
That'll work. Yeah, that works.
There we go.
Two Robins.
two Robins, the superior Robin and the face punchable Robin.
Yeah, the best Robin to become a Batman, and the one who's like, let's be real, he's going to become a Batman because
Nepotism. That's right. All right. Well, now's as good a time as any to dive into our news of the week. And we had a fairly newsworthy week. I guess we should start with some of stay in the realm of DC. There's a fair amount of DC news, in fact, and we'll start in the Bat realm. We'll start in the minor Bat realm, and then we'll move into the major Bat realm. Batwoman. I don't know if you watched the Batwoman show.
I don't. I haven't yet. I should say I don't yet.
So Victoria Cartagena, probably. She played Renee Montoya on Gotham,
Right.
and she's also going to be playing Renee Montoya on Batwoman.
Some would say she's reprising her role.
I mean, Batwoman takes place in the present day, whereas Gotham takes place in wherever in this murky universe.
Right.
But sure, I guess she's reprising her role, even though I would imagine her role is going to be totally different from the one that she played in Gotham.
This was a fun conversation that day. It was just like, wow, we're all bored, huh? We're just going to talk about what the real definition of reprising means.
But I tapped out on Gotham, but I do remember when she was on Gotham, and I thought she was legit. I thought she was solid. So
I tapped out Gotham rather early, and I checked in like a couple of episodes because I heard their Zaz was really good, and he was. I liked him. It's a guy from Barry. But yeah, I don't remember seeing her Montoya. I might have, but I don't remember.
So this is the synopsis that CW presented. Cartagena's Montoya is a former GCPD officer who left the force when she could no longer stomach the corruption inside the department. She now runs the Freaks division, which hasn't seen a lot of action until now. Righteous and pragmatic and LGBTQ plus, she's a woman with a very personal and mysterious mission to help clean the streets of Gotham in the right way. This sounds like there might be a question.
Yeah. Yeah. I read that synopsis like, oh, okay, so thanks for letting us know.
Right. LGBT question. Okay, so we'll probably get like halfway into the season before we see her in the question costume, but looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Probably not going to figure into our current season. Wait, when does the show start? Because I forgot. The season's really messed up because of. It might, yeah, maybe in the fall. Maybe it'll come back in the fall.
It's hard to tell with CW shows. Yeah. Oh, well, CW, Batwoman season 3 begins October 13th. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as we know, she's currently the police commissioner in the Batman books.
Yeah. She was traded. She was part of the trade.
Yeah, she was. So who knows? Maybe she'll be either a regular season or a supplemental draftee for the Latinx delegation, given how big of a deal she might be.
Yeah, maybe.
But the bigger news of the week, also in the realm potentially of the Latinx delegation, was the casting of Barbara Gordon.
Yes.
Now, did you see In the Heights?
I haven't. I missed it on it. I didn't realize.
I too missed it on because I pulled it up this weekend. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch In the Heights. Have some time, right. And it was like,
yeah.
30 days.
Something tells me it'll be back on HBO Max pretty soon. So
yes, something tells me that as well. But I will be eagerly watching it because one of the stars of In the Heights, Leslie Grace, is going to be playing Barbara Gordon. Now, this is where I get on my soapbox, guys. It's where I get on my soapbox because people were pissed. Carlos, would you like to tell us why people should be pissed?
I mean, we should be pissed because this didn't happen earlier. That's what I think. But you know, people are pissed because Leslie Grace doesn't have naturally red hair.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing. There's never been a redhead cast whose hair was not naturally red. It's never happened. Never happened.
That's what it is, right?
It's clearly what it is. It's ginger erasure. Erasure. Also, I find it quite interesting that some of the people who are objecting to Barbara Gordon getting a Batgirl movie, they just think that it would be better, you know, given that this is a Dominican young lady who's going to be playing Barbara Gordon, that one of the many Dominican superheroes in the DC universe be featured instead. Of course, there are so many Dominican DC heroes that are not getting fully featured, and that it's very disappointing that they chose to go this direction of race bending a traditionally white character. So that seems to be the crux of the argument, that they should have gone with an existing Dominican character rather than make Batgirl Dominican. Would you like to weigh in on that?
I mean, it's just some stupid shit. It's just some. It's like, why are we still doing this? Like if this was, 2002, I might get it, but like, why are we still doing this? Commissioner Gordon is black in one of the iterations, forthcoming.
Yes. Right, and he did play Peoples Hernandez in the what do you call it, in the Shaft movie. So maybe he's also Dominican.
Some might say that was a problematic performance. I say iconic, but and he did act against Christian Bale in that movie. So it was Gordon and Batman.
It was. and Nick Fury.
But I mean, like, why are we still doing this? Like,
sadly, we're still doing it because people lack imagination. As I often say, when a lot of the time when these characters were created, the existing racism of the day limited their options, and it was like, which flavor of vanilla are you going to get with these characters?
Right.
Are you going to get a white character with blonde hair, a white character with brown hair, a white character with raven black hair, or a white character with red hair? Those are your options. Right. And because of decades and decades of only seeing these characters depicted as white, people decided that this is the only way that those characters can exist. Even though we live in a world that is not monochromatic. We live in a world that is not populated with only white people. And it's perfectly okay for there to be a character that embodies all of the characteristics of Barbara Gordon and still not be a white woman.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, there's nothing inherently white about Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
That's it.
She's not calling the police on black people. She's
by the way, if you do a Google search of DC's Dominican characters, you know who you get?
Oh.
Renee Montoya.
Oh, snap.
That's the one. Renee Montoya, her dad, and like her brother or something like that. Like, that's it.
Well, now I have to go back and look at whether that actress is Dominican, which probably not. Does not sound like a Dominican last name. But look, you already established in the last season that there is a very high Latinx community, very big Latinx community in Gotham. Yeah. So we're gonna make that canon. we're going to flesh out the universe. And I, for one, I am happy that there is a Dominican, that there will be a Dominican Commissioner Gordon, and a Dominican Barbara Gordon.
I mean, listen, like if Gotham is supposed to be a stand-in for any city on the Eastern Seaboard, there's a large Caribbean Latino population there. There are Puerto Ricans, there are Cubans, there are Dominicans. They're there.
Yep.
That's
Especially if it's supposed to be like, Newark, New Jersey.
right. If it's Newark, if it's Baltimore, if it's Providence, Rhode Island, if it does not matter. You don't people don't realize. Go to Rhode Island, you will find Puerto Ricans. I guarantee you. You will find adobo in the grocery stores. We're there. We're in there. And Gotham City's Weekend Warrior Baseball League is lit. Because I'm telling you, it's a bunch of former minor league players who didn't quite pan out. It's lit.
And listen, I mean, you've already, you acquired Dick Grayson as part of the Latinx delegation this season. In previous seasons, you acquired Jason Todd. Also Batman, forgot.
Right.
also Alfred, right?
Bruce, Alfred, Selena, Harley Quinn. The only ones we didn't get were Babs and Nightwing.
Yeah, so maybe this season, I thought that in keeping, maybe next week, but I thought that in keeping with this casting, you were gonna throw down with Barbara Gordon. But I mean, maybe you'll sneak in and do it for $2, like this.
Let me wait for while everyone's scrapping which Robin they want. Be like, I want Barbara Gordon for 68 cents.
Yeah, I mean, in keeping with the, you'll have the double underpay, like you did for Wonder Woman. You have the double underpay of it being a woman and being Latina, and you'll just pay. You'll get a Barbara Gordon for the cheap.
Listen, it'll be racism, it'll be sexism, ageism. Get that in there. Yeah. So.
Underage Barbara Gordon, working under the table, like she's
got to help out the family.
Yeah, she got to help. I feel that. Let's see, what other disingenuous arguments can I debunk? Let's move to the next story because we'll get right to it. Speaking of disingenuous arguments, another DC story. Michael B. Jordan is developing a project for HBO Max, a Black Superman project involving the Val Zod incarnation of the character from Earth 2. So I have to first jump in because I was told by AppleCare that doing a Black Kal-El movie meant that they would never do a Black Val Zod movie. I was told that it was either or. You could only race bend or feature a fairly obscure Black character. But weirdly enough, it seems that the DC and WB are doing both. Does that blow your mind, Carlos?
I didn't know. I didn't know that was possible. My brain couldn't conceive of
two Black Kryptonians.
I just how?
Yeah, how? I mean, how could there be two Black people on the planet?
It's crazy. It's like I don't understand how.
Actually, wait, I apologize because they're not from the same planet because one is from Earth 1 and the other one's from Earth 2. How could there be two Black Kryptonians in the multiverse, in the entire multiverse?
I just what is this? The Harlem? I don't get it. What is this
It was actually a little bit galling, if I may be honest, that some of the pieces were saying that this is the real Black Superman project, because they're using a character that's Black in the books, whereas the one that Ta-Nehisi Coates is working on that involves Clark Kent, who is a household name, that character that's BS. This was Michael B. Jordan telling people that no, if you're going to do a Black Superman project, this is the way to do it. So you have to choose. Isn't it great that we have to choose which Black Superman project that we want to support?
It really is. It's like, it's unfortunate that they're already being kind of positioned against each other, when, for all intents and purposes, I'm probably going to enjoy a Michael B. Jordan produced Val Zod project, and hopefully Michael B. Jordan starring. I'm not positive that he's the star of it, but definitely developing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, and I am positive I'm going to enjoy anything Ta-Nehisi Coates writes. So,
right.
Why
and the fact that J.J. Abrams is producing this Superman project, the Kal-El one, suggests that they might actually follow through with that project, as opposed to other DC projects, which
right.
allegedly. Shout out to New Gods.
Shout out to New Gods. Shout out to the Flash until I see it.
Yes.
Where to God.
Well, no, but and here's a valid question. Given that this alleged Flash movie, as we like to say on the show, is going to deal with the multiverse, might we see, given that we already have our Latina Supergirl, might we see Val Zod make an appearance in this alleged Flash movie?
See, that I would really love to say yes to that. It's just this feeling that like DC and Warner Brothers really as a whole, like they just don't, there's no like singular vision.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like they're okay. They're greenlighting all these projects, which is great. Let them all cook and see what works. But like, it doesn't seem like anything is being like brought together.
Yeah.
The closest thing we ever got was that the Crisis on Infinite Earth CW thing, where it's like, we'll bring in the Adam West stuff and we'll bring in the Tim Burton stuff, and like that was very cool. But like company wide, it would be awesome to be like, yeah.
And it's so weird. Sorry to cut you off, but like, even when you have something like Harley Quinn and her like Birds of Prey-ish movie that she did, they knew that she was going to appear in the Suicide Squad movie.
Mm-hmm.
They could have had like the end of her movie kind of leave a couple breadcrumbs for the Suicide Squad movie.
Right.
It just feels like they don't either like to do that or know how to do that.
Right. And I do think it's the latter. I think they would love to do it. I don't think they know how. And so with this alleged Flash movie, like this could be their Loki, where it sets up the multiverse, like it sets up all of it. I have a feeling it's going to set up a multiverse, but that's still not going to touch 98% of the projects that they have going.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, I want to be optimistic because I do think, I'm very hyped about Suicide Squad. But one thing that I continue to go back to with the DC movies is that they don't have a way of capitalizing on the momentum of one project that you like. Say what you will about the Joker movie. I know there's some controversy around it. The Joker movie was really successful, and it led to a round of people speculating about how that Joker movie could somehow connect to the other movies. It's not gonna. I mean, probably isn't gonna happen.
No.
So that's a lot of wasted energy. I complained as much as I liked the Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey movie. I didn't like the fact that they left a couple of storyline threads that aren't going to get picked up in the rest of the Batman mythos. I would have loved if they had a nod to Oracle, either in post credits or in a like towards the end of the movie, just to suggest that, like they made some obscure, some oblique rather references to Batman, but that Gotham didn't look anything like the Gotham in previous movies, and it's not going to look anything like the Gotham in the Batman. It could have been super easy for them to say, "Oh yeah, Batman. We haven't seen Batman in like a month," and kind of let that like hang out there for a while. That like Batman's missing, you know, and maybe it's given the meta text of what happened with Affleck or whatever, you know, you by opening up the possibility that Batman could be missing, you could give these other characters in the Batman universe the opportunity to step up into that void. We don't know what the premise is of this Batgirl movie. We'd like to believe that this Batgirl movie that we talked about is going to be set in the mainline DC universe. It's not going to be. It's already definitively not going to be set in the Matt Reeves universe.
Right.
So, is this going to be yet another universe that's not connected to anything else?
Right. And I think that's exactly what we're getting. I think DC kind of like missed the boat on a unified story by handing the reins to Zack Snyder, who didn't have the story that they wanted told, but they let him tell it. So it kind of messed up all of the other side franchises. Now Shazam doesn't fit in Zack Snyder's universe. That movie is in a different place. Like it just is. And so, and you know, Wonder Woman 84, that took place in Zack Snyder's like universe. Like how?
Right.
They're not telling one story with a bunch of little side quests, which is what the MCU is, right? It's
Right.
one overarching story. That is not what's happening in DC. And like, no one says, you know, you don't have to do it. You don't have to connect your universe. But if you're going to have a multiverse, like why not?
Right.
Figure that, like, sit down, have a have a round table. Like you could have it at the exact round table from Zack Snyder's Batman movie, you know, from the end. Like get all of your directors, all of your, you know, your Illuminati, and go, okay, let's hash this out. Let's figure this out. Let's come up with one story that everything can kind of contribute to. It has to be, do whatever you want, but it's still got to be faithful to this truth, this story. And they don't seem interested in doing that. So
yeah,
like
and
I just don't expect, like, I will not rush out to see 98% of DC movies. Like I've never seen one. I've never seen a DCU movie in the theaters. And like, I'll probably see Suicide Squad maybe in the theaters now that I got these sweet ass antibodies in my but the Suicide Squad looks like a lot of fun, but I don't expect it to give me anything more than than that movie, and I don't expect it to connect anything else. So
right. And that's the problem, because rest assured, if like, I think the Suicide Squad is going to be really good. Rest assured, if Marvel were making a movie like the Suicide Squad and they knew it was going to be really good, like, we know that there's that Peacemaker project that it's in development, that may be a prequel, maybe a sequel. They haven't really tipped their hand on it, but Marvel expects certain characters to pop, and then as soon as they do pop, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, you like this character? This character's showing up somewhere else. You like this character's also showing up somewhere else. And it allows people to, like, it would have been so easy for DC to say, hey, did you like that Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie? Well, guess what? Black Canary's got it. Black Canary, you'll see her again soon.
Right. I think also, though, it's beyond like Marvel knowing which characters are going to pop. They're telling you this character is popping, and you better be on board or you're going to miss it. Like there is an aspect of that where it's not like waiting to hear back what was hot. It's like, no, we're going to tell you what's hot. We're going to tell you what you want. It's that, Steve Jobs thing, like where he said, like, at Apple, we don't wait to see what the people want. We tell them you want this, and they believe us. And generally we did. That's more along the lines of what Marvel does. It's like, no, like they obviously they knew that, I mean, more than likely Groot was going to be a big deal. Like baby Groot was going to be a big deal. They knew that stuff. But like, for the most part, like they just kind of tell you this is what is the big thing. And then because it's all one story, you like almost need to see the thing as quickly as possible, or else you're going to get spoiled on the big, the next chapter of the big story you've been invested in for 12 years. So there's that too. Whereas DC, it's like I'm more than likely I'm going to know who died in Suicide Squad before I go see the movie.
Yeah. Well, I want to circle back to this other point because there was the main article that I cited for this for the story about this Val Zod project. They took a very interesting stance, and I must quibble with some of the arguments that they're making here, which is, let's start here. Val Zod is not the Superman of quote unquote Earth 1. He himself is an alternate Earth multiversal Superman. So I gotta ask, if he's not from the main Earth, why is he so much better than a Superman who is also from a different Earth, who happens to be black?
Right.
Like what makes him a superior character? They're both not from the main Earth. Like I hear so many people talk about Calvin Ellis and, Earth 23. I always say Earth 23 after Michael Jordan because, that's the most famous 23. But like all Calvin, I mean, sorry to break it to you guys. The premise of Calvin Ellis is, what if Superman were Barack Obama? That's really all it is. He's still Superman though. Calvin Ellis is just an Americanized version of Kal-El. Like he's Kal-El, who instead of taking the name Clark Kent, took the name Calvin Ellis.
Right.
That's all it is. He's not so distinct from quote unquote black Clark Kent that people need to be making a big stink about it. He too is from an alternate universe. So your argument that why does the Superman that's black have to be from a different universe, like, it rings hollow. You have already embraced the multiverse. You've already embraced the idea that there are these different Supermen from these different Earths that are not the mainstream Earth. So while yes, I would prefer that the main universe have a Superman, and if they chose to make him black, I think that would be awesome. But if they choose not to make him black, that's kind of on you guys, because they're afraid. Probably they're afraid of the backlash to the black Superman. And certain people who claim to be about diversity and claim to be about being pro-black, as a knee-jerk response, resist this kind of race bending. And I'm still not amenable to whatever arguments you guys make. Where, like, again, Val Zod, Superman of Earth 2, became Superman after the other Superman died. Now maybe they'll take that part out. Guess what? Val Zod, he came up hard, so he's a Superman that came up hard. He was an orphan. He came up hard on Krypton. He came up hard on Krypton. Then he came up hard when he came to Earth. Like, so okay. So he's black. You just, all you did was say, what if black Superman came up harder than white Superman? I mean, sure, but I don't see Val Zod a lot in the books. And obviously the books don't always control, but often characters don't become popular in the books because they haven't figured out how to make the character popular. We don't yet know whether there's a formula to make Val Zod mainstream popular. I mean, I'm rooting for it, but it's never been. We've never seen him on a cartoon. We've never seen him in any other kind of live action. We are just hoping that people like him. We're just hoping that people gravitate to him. Maybe Michael B. Jordan's star power will be enough. maybe they'll cast someone else and his charisma will be enough, but we don't know. Whereas Superman, we know what works with Superman. We know why people like the character of Superman, and we know that there are Black actors that can portray Clark Kent the way that we imagine Clark Kent to be, and Superman the way that we imagine Superman to be. We know about what those qualities are. We know about why that character is appealing. And what you're saying when you say that they should not have a Black Superman is you're saying that these actors should be denied the possibility, the opportunity to play a character that is part of the American mythos. And I reject that wholeheartedly. Which is, I guess,
I completely agree with that. I think, to take it to the Marvel side, like there's Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales. He's an alternate Spider-Man, but he's not Peter Parker, right? And I'm totally down. I think Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie, best superhero movie I've ever seen. I love Miles Morales. But that doesn't mean that after Tom Holland, if they want to cast a Black person, a Latino, any other race to play Peter Parker, I'm not gonna be like, well,
we already have Miles Morales. We don't need.
Why are they using the guy from One Day at a Time to play Peter Parker? We've got Miles Morales out here. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. There can be two people of color playing superheroes. It can happen. It can exist. And they can have different personalities because two different people of color, two different people of the same color, people of the same race can have two different personalities.
Yeah.
It's totally within the realm of possibility. I may as well transition to another DC story, which is, speaking of more alternate universes, Injustice, aka the animated Snyderverse.
Yep, that's it.
They are getting an animated movie. I am not a big player of the Injustice the Injustice video game. I have not really gotten into the Injustice comics, but I know that it's a lot darker. I know it's a lot more gritty, as people like to say. The Superman goes bad and he kills people, and some stuff goes down. And they're making another movie. They're making an animated movie for Injustice. I'll probably watch it, but I'll just run down the voice cast. Justin Hartley as Superman, Anson Mount as Batman, Laura Bailey as Lois Lane, and Rama Kushna, Zach Callison as Damian and Jimmy Olsen. Damian Olsen? Or maybe a different Damian. Brian T. Delaney as Green Lantern, Brandon Michael Hall as Cyborg, Edwin Hodge as Mr. Terrific and Killer Croc, Oliver Hudson as Plastic Man, Jillian Jacobs as Harley Quinn, Yuri Lowenthal as Mirror Master, Flash, and Shazam. Wow. Derek Phillips as Nightwing and Aquaman, Kevin Pollak as Joker and Jonathan Kent, Anika Noni Rose as Catwoman, Reed Scott as Green Arrow and Victor Zaz, Farhan Tahir as Ra's al Ghul, Fred Tatasciore and Captain Atom. A lot of multiples in this voice cast. Janet Varney as Wonder Woman and Andrew Morgado as Mirror Master Soldier, which is, I have never heard of that character. So yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Injustice, you will get your yet another movie in the multiverse. I wonder if they'll get mad if a character gets race bent.
They will.
Yeah, of course they will.
This is the edgelord side of DC. They get mad about everything.
So that covers our DC side of the news. But we've got some Marvel news. And staying within the realm of the animation, Victoria Alonso, big time Marvel producer, has suggested that she's going to take a bigger hand in the animation side of the MCU, and that there will be additional animated projects to Just What If that are going to be part of the MCU. Now, I got to ask, she didn't give a lot of hints as to what those projects might be. What projects would you like to see set in the MCU but animated?
I guess I'm thinking like I wouldn't mind seeing like Ant-Man stuff that's like lower stakes, and little mini Ant-Man heists. Obviously you want to be like, yeah, bring back the X-Men, but like that's not what we're doing here. I wouldn't mind seeing you know, if they're gonna just play with style and stuff, like let's see Luke Cage, I wouldn't mind seeing a really stylized Daredevil cartoon. And yeah, there's so much. Like,
well, my thing is that if it's going to still be in the MCU, then you know, you could do some things with I don't know the direction that they're gonna go with Iron Fist. But you could do some things that were set during the time period of the blip, you know, some of like the smaller stakes stories on the street level that could just be kind of prequels to whenever these characters appear in live action.
I wouldn't mind that at all. Yeah. You remember the Animatrix? Like most of that didn't carry over to the movies,
but it was still set in that world, I believe.
It was still set in the world, and we were unsure. It was like, is this canon? Is this not? And then one of the characters from one of the shorts has a role in the 2 sequels. The kid who like has to load up the mech with that kid. I want to say it's Mouse or something like that. He's a character in the Animatrix, and it's the only one that like fully crosses over into the live action. I think, you know, let's why not? If you're not planning to make a Jessica Jones movie, give us the Jessica Jones TV show, like the cartoon. I'm down. And it doesn't, and you could have it voiced by whatever actress you think should play Jessica Jones. That's fine. It's not gonna be like, in my brain, I'm not gonna be like, well, that was the cartoons, so that doesn't count. It's not the same thing. Like, I would fully see it as a continuation. It doesn't matter to me. Like the Animatrix and the Matrix series.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to some of the, I mean, they haven't introduced a lot of the kid characters, but to me, one of the advantages of doing the animation for the younger characters is that you're not under the same gun of these actors aging out.
Yep, that's true.
You know, so if you wanted to do like a Devil Dinosaur,
yes,
Moon Girl,
that would be great.
You know, you could do that in the MCU.
Yeah, Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur would be great. Yes.
You know, if you wanted to, I mean, I guess we already know the Ms. Marvel's coming in live action, but if you wanted to, you know, what would be kind of cool? Carol Danvers' Cosmic Adventures during those 20 years when she was flying out in space and she wasn't on Earth.
Yes, perfect. That'd be great.
Fill out that whole cosmic realm with animated Carol Danvers.
Honestly, like I wouldn't mind seeing the adventures of He Who Remains. Ooh. You know, like if he's the good one or the best one, like what was his life like? I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Cool. But I feel like that would be more in the realm of what if already, because it's involved other timelines. But you know, that, like I said, I mean that one I think would be a really good one. You know, because Brie Larson, like, you know, she voiced the character. She can meet up with all these different cosmic characters that we came into contact with later by the Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe like a little bit of Yondu in there. You know, the different Ravagers. Maybe there'll be some Nova Corps stuff. Like
I could even see like you know what actor you're going to get for this role, even though it's technically hasn't happened in the MCU yet. Like do a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool cartoon. Sure. And like, why not? Especially when he can break the fourth wall. You can set him in any universe. It doesn't matter. You know, you can set him in one that has X-Men if you want, or don't. Whatever. Like, he breaks all convention. It works.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll hear some more about that. We'll, you know, stay tuned, guys. We'll keep that posted. I'll keep you posted on that. Additional, speaking of people who break the fourth wall, She-Hulk got a casting. This one slid under the radar a little bit. I don't know if you heard this story. Josh Segarra, who you might know from the Arrowverse, playing who was the actor that he played? I mean, sorry, who was the character that he played? Chase, Adrian Chase. He played Adrian Chase on Arrow. I believe he's on one of the CBS shows right now. He's also on an HBO show called The Other Two. But Josh Segarra is going to be joining the She-Hulk series in an undisclosed role. He played an attorney on Arrow, so maybe he'll be playing another attorney. He's a good-looking guy. Maybe he'll be a love interest. Who knows? You know,
Hey.
we'll keep that posted. And finally, there's two more, but this is a big finally. Michaela Cole, who you might know from I May Destroy You or from Chewing Gum, was cast for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And immediately people said, Storm, because, you know,
Of course, naturally.
she's a black woman and all black women are Storm. But I will go ahead and throw my hat into who I think and who I hope she will be playing, which is are you familiar with the character Madam Slay?
I've seen the name thrown around this week, but no, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, first of all the times for there to be a character named Madam Slay, the fact that Slay is right in the vernacular.
Yeah.
Michaela Cole, sorry, is very fashion forward. Madam Slay.
I wouldn't mind seeing if they're gonna bring in, if Love and Thunder is going to play with the idea of gods, I wouldn't mind seeing Bast in human form.
I could see that. I mean, I think that we've already seen in the original Black Panther movie, like some of the more like obscure characters from the Black Panther lore be kind of elevated. So that's why I'm leaning towards Madam Slay, because,
Sure.
you know, she's typically viewed as kind of like a love interest for Killmonger. And, you know, she's got her talents. You know, she commands leopards. So she's still in she's cat themed. You know, I definitely think that we're going to get, based on even the first movie, we're going to have probably a female Black Panther or a female fighting contingent in the Black Panther-ish realm. I think that she's the kind of villain who could meet that Panther head on. You know, maybe she could have some kind of tie to Killmonger where she's trying to pick up where he left off.
But at the same time, we're also getting
the Namor thing.
Namor, you know, Tenoch Huerta's Namor. Like, I don't know. I don't want it to get crowded in there, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the way I look at it is that, you know, we know that Namor is more of a tweener rather than a full-on villain.
Sure.
You know, so he could be positioned as an antagonist who, you know, by the end kind of joins forces against the greater threat.
Yeah. The Uneasy Alliance.
Yeah. And, you know, that's where you have your full-on villain. And, you know, who better to play the role in the full-on villain than someone who might want to take the Wakandan throne for herself.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, we know she has the chops as an actress. We know she has the presence. She has the look for it. And look,
her look is
they could turn Madam Slay into a money generating, like, we thought that the Killmonger memes, we thought that Killmonger memes were something. The outfits that they could put Madam Slay in and make her iconic. Listen, I mean, obviously we'll be a couple seasons in by the time this movie drops, but I'm already letting the Black delegation know you better pay attention to the possibility of drafting Madam Slay. Don't let the Asian delegation And speaking of fashion forward, the final news story of the week involves the comics. And this was a news story from just a few hours ago. Are you familiar with the Hellfire Gala?
Oh yeah, sure.
Which was hey, what if the X-Men did a fashion show?
Right. What if the Met Gala was on Krakoa?
So it sounds like the brain trust behind the X-Men want to make the Hellfire Gala an annual thing. I wonder if they're gonna I wonder if they start selling toys of the people in their different garbs.
They definitely should. I mean, like the looks that they created specifically for this event, and then they're never going to use again. Like there was some great stuff in there.
I agree.
But like also like sell some of the clothing. Like that's also a thing you could do. But I'm down for the Hellfire Gala being a yearly event. I'm not so much down with the other part of that story though.
So to be fair, so the other part of the story is that big part of the Hellfire Gala was the fact that they did an election in storylines of what the X-Men team would be. Now, they only, practically speaking, only had, I think, 2 of the roles up for grabs in fan voting.
Right.
Whereas the rest of the team, even though they were being voted on, had already been selected by the editorial. I think that they can still do that by basically saying every year there's going to be a new X-Men that gets added to the team, 1 or 2 new X-Men that get added to the team as basically they cycle in and out, and yeah, giving fans the opportunity to vote for it.
That I'm cool with. Like I wouldn't mind adding, 2, rotate 2 out, 2 in. Great. That's great. Like I like that. But like the way the story was worded was like, and brand new X-Men every year. It's like, well, then you're only getting like 12 issues with this X-Men team. Like,
but I'm actually, I mean, again, as long as the writing team knows that they're kind of somewhat reshuffling the deck, then they know, all right, we've got a 12-month run with this lineup, and then we'll have a new lineup. It'll be mostly people from the previous lineup, but there'll be a couple new characters, and there's a storyline justification for changing around the lineup, as opposed to what happens, what traditionally happened, which was just that randomly some X-Men would want to hang out at the mansion and be part of a team.
Right.
Whereas the other one would be like, I'm just going to go off, do my own thing for a little bit. So I think it could work. I think that, if we know that there are all those other Krakoa-based books, so the characters aren't going away, they're just shifting over into, a different part of the major storyline. And if being an X-Man means that you're supposed to be off Krakoa, that it almost seems like a duty. It seems like something that people would want to do tours of, rather than do full-time in perpetuity.
Yeah, I like the idea of having it as like your kind of mandatory military service or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, just in terms of like as a consumer, like I will just be getting into like, oh wow, this team is really starting to click. And then I really liked characters that, these characters that I'm not that familiar with. It's like as a reader of the X-Men books, it's like I'm so glad they give me a roster at the beginning of every issue. It's like, I don't know who is this character? Like, what do they do? I wish that they would actually do like, along with the roster, like just give me like 5 words. What are their powers? Like, what should I expect from this character? But if they want to change up the team every year, I guess I would lose some connectivity if they totally change it over. Like, I'm not buying all of the X books. So if Sync isn't there on the X-Men, I may not see Sync anymore. And I really like Sync. But they're, I guess, I'll trust them. It's their.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, from being on social media, I know that the X-Men have a large fan base, and the individual X-Men have their own sort of contingents of stans,
Yeah.
and anything that engages in a somewhat positive way with those fandoms and gets them to advocate strongly, to give those characters an opportunity to shine in a more systematic way. That, like, last year, I think there were, like, I was one of the people who wanted to see Sunspot
Mhm.
get a run in the X-Men. Maybe
Right.
next year he gets a run.
I'll say this: I wouldn't mind if they did like an X-Men Inc. kind of thing, where it was like West Coast X-Men, or X-Men in different continents. And, I think that there's room for that too. Like, there's no reason they have to be in New York.
Right. Well,
You
that's the thing. They're in Krakoa, which means they can basically be anywhere going through
literally
the
they
gates.
go to Mars like for lunch. They come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm an issue behind on the main X-Men book, so I need to see what they're up to right now. But I'm open to it. And again, pairing it with the Hellfire Gala gives them that much, like, more of an incentive. People want to see the fits. They want to see which celebrities get drawn into the book, which is crazy to me.
It was very cool. That was a very cool event. I liked that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, like, some people didn't like that. I was like, this is pretty sweet. Patton Oswalt in a comic book? Like,
yeah.
What? Like,
now, the one concern that was voiced, and I have to acknowledge it just for, just to say that it was acknowledged, comic book time and real time are not the same thing.
Yeah. What do you mean by?
So if it's happening once a year in our time, it's happening like once a season in the world of the comic book.
Right.
They're going to have to figure that out.
Could literally happen like 4 times in an issue. Like, there are issues of X-Men that span 50 years.
Right.
So, yeah.
But that's it as far as our news stories. I guess we should probably end it here. We had a nice, robust show. Thank you for joining us. We talked through our racial draft business, and we talked through our news business. Let the people know where they can find you.
I can be reached on Twitter at Carlos Freitas Jr.
And I can be reached at MTFIII, but you can reach the podcast at Racial Draft Pod on Twitter. You can also find us at racial.draft on Instagram, or Racial Draft, our page on Facebook. As always, if you give us a 5-star review, we will look it up and we will read it on the podcast. You can also support our Patreon. We don't have any patrons right now, but we do have patron exclusive content that we're dying to give to you. We also have our community that we're always looking to expand. If you're part of a delegation that has not yet been fully represented, and you'd like opportunity to bring your $1,200 to the table and participate in the bidding wars, hit me up, hit the Racial Draft up. We can talk about it. And we're the season's ongoing, but that doesn't mean that you can't hop in with your new delegation and go to work.
If you hopped in right now, you'd be able to just put it on the table and be like, I'm buying such and such character. I'm not gonna
maybe you could have bid a whole $5 for Doctor Strange and maybe gotten him.
Come on.
But I guess we'll leave it here, guys. Hopefully, if this is your first show, I apologize, but hopefully you'll be back next week, as we will hopefully do better. And and if not, hopefully you'll just keep checking it out until we do better. But until next time, all things are possible.